Welcome back to the Joe Mobley Show. I am still Joe Mobley, your host and the original uncloseted conservative, and she is still outspoken Samantha, your co-host, and still named Samantha and still outspoken. so,
No major
guys,
developments there.
yeah, no major developments like a work meeting. Nothing has changed. Guys, we can't talk about all the things. I wish that we could talk about all the things. We can never talk about all the things. But we're going to talk about some of the things. Some of those things are we're going to be diving in a little bit, not all the nerdy finance stuff, but a little bit of a dive into the debt ceiling, which I'm starting to believe is just a misnomer. They should stop saying it's a debt ceiling, because a ceiling, like, this is my ceiling, I can't go any higher. But the debt ceiling is definitely more imaginary. Ceiling in name only. We're going to be talking about the summer of boycotts, which I personally am loving. Loving the Anheuser-Busch Bud Light boycott. Loving that people are getting on board with the Target boycott. We've been boycotting Target, the Mobley family, for a year and a half now. Netflix, Disney, all this. It's just so wonderful. And we get our money back. We're not paying for those subscriptions. We're going to be talking about the compulsory apologies that are going on, which is still something that I refuse to do. I'm very glad that I haven't been put in the situation, but I look forward to the day of telling people to pound sand because of their nonsense, childlike views. And we are talking about Canada's one and only blackface czar, Justin Trudeau. So, going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. So, let's get into it. No problem at all. All right. If you are watching live, thank you guys for being here on the live. Appreciate the comments, the engagements already flying in the chat. If you would be so kind, you're watching on a device that's connected to the internet, and it has a podcast app. It also has an internet browser. Go ahead and open both of those things and find The Joe Mobley Show in podcast. I don't care where you listen to your podcast, Stitcher or Podbean, Apple Music, Amazon. I don't care, just as long as it's not Bud Light podcast or, Target podcast app. Go ahead, find the Joe Mobley Show, like the show, subscribe to the show. And if you're on YouTube, just make better choices. But since you're there, like, subscribe. Make sure that you head over to Rumble, because any day, any week, any month, literally, from interviews that are years old now, my show could disappear. So make sure that show some love on Rumble where it matters. And while your phone is out, you're just getting warmed up. It feels so good. You're liking, you're subscribing. Go ahead and type in Outspoken Samantha. You can't actually click the buttons on the screen, guys. They're not real buttons, but you can type. You can type with these guys. These are thumbs. You can type in Outspoken Samantha, just like it sounds. There's also links to all this stuff in the show notes, which are just below our lovely faces. Unless you're a podcast guy. If you're a podcast guy, then it's interesting. Podcasts are interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not delved into podcasts just yet. So I rely far too much on YouTube, guys. So help me break the bad habit by going over to Rumble, because we need to put these companies in their place. We need to put these businesses in their place. So
You say that, but your Facebook tribe rolls deep. You have a very robust and boisterous Facebook crowd. And their comments are very funny.
I know. I thoroughly enjoy the conversations that we have on Facebook. We just need to move them over. I don't know. Let me know what you guys are using. Are you using Getter? Are you using MeWe? I personally really like Getter. I think it's pretty similar to Facebook. I feel like it's there isn't a learning curve or anything to it. So that would be my preference. But
I use Getter. I really like Getter. I would like to see it become, in functionality, it's just like Twitter. I actually want to make sure that we're live on Getter now that you mention it. Yeah, functionally, it's just like Twitter in my mind. But oh, why the image has not updated. Interesting. Maybe I need to update or something. Anyway, but it's Getter is kind of like Truth Social in that it's mostly an echo chamber, mostly like right wing folks
yeah.
over there. And I like diversity of thought, which is the diversity that matters. So,
Mhm.
you know, people,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
liberals out there,
Well, and
God.
that's part of the reason that I really still like Twitter. Um, and it's great that Elon Musk is taking over that platform, though he has done some questionable things, even just today, that
I knew
that
when you said Twitter, I was like,
yeah,
she's gonna.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but they if you've heard of Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, they did this documentary about a year ago called What is a Woman? They were going to, on the anniversary of releasing this doc, I guess it's a documentary, they were going to play it on Twitter, and everything was going well. And then Twitter revoked the invitation, said they weren't going to do it. And then Elon Musk came and said that, uh, that was the wrong move and the wrong decision. But then I was watching other tweets of Elon Musk, and he was talking about the thing that we were talking about before with Linda Yaccarino, where he was giving advertisers the option to decide where they wanted to put their advertisements, whether it be implying basically whether it be with conservative speech or with liberal speech. Um, so it was a very kind of questionable day on Twitter, but it is still far more free speech friendly than Facebook.
Diamond Dave, it is cool and it is indeed live. So thanks for the comment. I'll say the advertising thing, it seems weird, it seems icky. It's actually not. People that sell ads, that's actually what we need. Again, I'm not selling any ads, especially if there's anyone from my employer listening. This is a free podcast. No one pays for anything. Uh, it would be nice
Yeah,
to get if I get authorization, then I'm going to get the Joe Mobley shop up and running. Because some people, especially on the email, again, love getting your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, whatever, product ideas. The email address is ask@thejoemobleyshow.com. But a lot of people have emailed like in the last 6 weeks, like, hey, I wanted to buy this shirt for Father's Day. And I'm like, oh man, you can't. One or two of you, I just sent it to you for free because I felt bad. But the uncloseted conservative shirts and all of my funny Joe Biden ones, the 1-star Joe Biden would not recommend. You can't buy it right now because I still don't have approval for outside work authorization. But if I get it, then the shop is back on. And I don't know if we'll do ads. The ads actually really get on my nerves. Um,
yeah,
so that's a conversation for another time.
yeah,
But yeah, but when you place ads, we don't want to waste our money. So I do not, like in Google Ads and AdSense, and YouTube, for the brief time that I was even able to do this, um, between 1,000 and like 6,000 YouTube subscribers, I didn't want to show my ads to people unless you've got unlimited money and you control. I don't want to waste my money like before Joe Behar
yeah.
or or something like that. So it would be like one time I paid for an ad and I targeted Louder with Crowder.
Hmm.
And it ended up being something crazy, like crazy expensive, like 6 cents a click or something like that. Which
Wow.
is that's expensive. So
Yeah,
uh yeah, but if people were a little bit more resilient and we weren't in our feelings all the time, then we could deign to see an ad that expressed an opinion that we didn't agree with. If you're conservative,
no.
you don't have a choice. You're every ad on Hulu, on Do they do ads on Netflix? I don't think they do. If they did, every ad for the next 30 days is going to be gay. I'm not saying gay like, oh, that's gay, even though I think that's gay, but literally gay, like LG, big
Yep.
G.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh man,
Yeah.
guys. Pride goes before the fall. Don't you know?
Yeah. Well, at least, we're mentally prepared for that. We're ready for literally everything to be covered in rainbows for the next 30 days. So, and it's appropriate for your grandmother all the way down to your infant. So,
You've
like,
got your boycott button ready. Boop.
exactly. So it is what it is. But
It's a good budgeting strategy. You can just cancel stuff.
I know, I know. We saved money when we canceled Disney Plus. We're saving money because I don't go and mindlessly stroll through the aisles of Target anymore. This is really the best way to save money for your family. And honestly, I think husbands everywhere are rejoicing in how much money is not being spent at Target right now.
I
In
agree.
fact, it might be a conspiracy theory that husbands are actually behind the Target boycott. They're like, hey, how do we get our wives to stop shopping at Target? And they called the LGBTQ community and they're like, put up a pride display.
Not buying from anyone with rainbow. Why do Democrats push gay stuff on the American people? Well, Jeff, I will say it's not about the sexual proclivity. It's about it's Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, and it's about changing the Overton window, changing the limits of what's acceptable. Uh, Michael Knowles asked, controlling words, controlling minds. Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just
Well,
it's about
we'll
creating
get
a
into that.
psychological cage.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the boycotts and then this other stuff that is kind of happening with some of the baseball teams. I mean, there's a whole reason and that they're pushing this stuff on the American people, and it has absolutely nothing to do with love and tolerance. It has nothing to do with equal rights for gay people and loving who you want to love. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. But they label it that way so that when we oppose it, it sounds like we're opposing rights for gay people or we're opposing, relationships that aren't traditional. So there's a reason that they package things the way that they do, but it never has anything to do with what they're actually telling us that it does.
100%. So it is 8:45. I am failing as a host, so we'll jump into the first story. We will be short. We'll be sweet. I say that. Maybe we won't be. But guys, the House did pass the debt ceiling bill in a bipartisan vote. So it's moving to Senate. The Senate's going to pass this thing. Joe Biden's going to sign it. It's calamitous. It's going to be hugely stupid. Now, I think the biggest fun factor of it all is it's called the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is utter nonsense. If you think about being fiscally responsible, this is like a philosophical rule. This is kind of like a law of the universe. If it is right and good and works in the little things, then it is right and good and works in the big things. We find this in both the New and the Old Testament. We find this principle in Proverbs. It's just wisdom, guys. Even if you're an a-religious person, spend less than you make. That's the rule. Those are the rules that govern personal finance for the home. That's what actual fiscal responsibility is. And, the Epic Times is covering this whole thing, and there's like 1,000 opinion stories. Oh my gosh. If you just type D in the Google, debt ceiling, and opinion pieces are going to pop up. McCarthy says that he believes that this agreement, I believe this is an agreement in principle that's worthy of the American people. Kevin McCarthy, I think that you're an idiot for this. I don't think that this is a good agreement. I think the principles of debt are the borrower is slave to the lender, and you are indebting the American people's children's children's children. So my kids, sweet little kids, my grandkids, and their sweet little kids, my great great grandkids are going to be paying for this. All you got to do is pop up the national, the debt Like type in the Google the like the live debt
Mhm.
tally and just watch it. It's trillions of dollars and it just goes up, 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 up. But this
Yeah,
man, Chip Roy, is
yeah,
on fire. Chip says at best we'll have a 2-year spending freeze that's full of loopholes and gimmicks. Um, Absolutely right. Just like the last spending freeze, somehow these departments of government still buy billions of dollars of bullcrap. So, what are
yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love what Chip Roy has been doing. He's getting out there and exposing exactly, what Congress is not doing. And, he's come out and said exactly the best that we can hope is to have a spending freeze for 2 years. And I think a lot of people that were opposed to this bill, Chip Roy, I think Lauren Boebert was opposed to it. The list of people that were opposed to it suddenly seemed to shrink the more that they were debating this bill. But the idea, they want to get back to pre-COVID size of government. And what just blows my mind is before COVID, it was, I mean, I don't know if unfathomable, but to me it was unfathomable to pass a bill that was $1 trillion or over $1 trillion. And
Yep.
I mean, to my understanding, we had never done anything like that. And now they are making this the norm. Like we're not talking about million or billion-dollar bills anymore. The norm is now $1 trillion. So to label this as something called fiscal responsibility is an absolute joke. If you look at the bills in the past, the COVID relief bill that didn't actually provide COVID relief, or the infrastructure bill that had nothing to do with infrastructure, or the Inflation Reduction Act that actually raises inflation, they have a habit of labeling these bills things that do the opposite of what they are supposed to do, or at least what we're being sold as. And from what I understand, we didn't get anything other than what Chip Roy just said, which was a spending freeze, which is really just to get through the next election. It's not really to do anything. So
Yeah. Chip asks the question, what do the American people get? What do we get for this deal?
mhm.
And the answer is emphatically nothing except for more debt, more bondage. Um, this is why people don't think about these numbers. I tried to pull, I know this is a fact, but I tried to pull this and I couldn't find it. People do not think about these numbers. This is $1 trillion. Okay, so everyone, we have trouble conceptualizing some of the numbers, but you have money. So a dollar's a dollar, 100, 1,000. 1,000 thousands is $1 million. 1,000 millions is $1 billion. 1,000 billions is $1 trillion. The United
Mhm.
States' GDP is about 20 to 25 trillion dollars. Now keep in mind the reparations deal the reparations deal that Dumb Dumb Californians proposed is going to cost, I think, $180 trillion. No, it's going to cost $220 trillion. But global GDP, all of the countries, all of the king's horses, all of the king's men is like $180 trillion.
Oh my God.
So, given that the entire world produces $180 trillion of stuff, 1 trillion is almost it's a little over 0.5%.
Yeah. Yeah.
No government anywhere should be doing deals like that. That's the definition of fiscal irresponsibility. But the Fiscal
Well,
Responsibility Act, boom, $1 trillion. Let's go.
yeah. Yeah, right. Like it's almost comical that they labeled it that. But I think what people also, and myself included, struggle to conceptualize is the fact that this debt rests on our shoulders. And a lot of people have mentioned, kicking the can down the road and just essentially pushing these things out so far so that the people that are in office now, or even, people that are like our age, really aren't going to feel as big of an impact, or they're not going to have to deal with the consequences of it like our children will. But if we don't, if we're not the ones that have to deal with it, then it doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. And but the idea of taking, having debt or taking out loans is that you can pay them back, but essentially all they're doing is taking out more loans to pay off the previous loans, and then bigger loans to pay for the things that they want to see coming, and it's just compiling this debt. And at some point, like, the economy is just going to crash, and that's going to have worldwide impact because the world relies on the US economy. So, what does that mean for our kids? What does it mean for the next generation or the generation after that? Like, that's not that far off.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I'm an entitled American. I don't care about other generations. Like, oh man, we want things now, cheap, easy. You know, it cracks me up that we talk so much about slavery. Meanwhile, there are more slaves alive now than there were in the transatlantic slave trade. And in other countries, and some of the same countries that they were in, but we're indebting, we're enslaving, we're putting our future generations in bondage and chains that you can't see, but physically, almost physically in bondage. They were going to have this thing just hanging around their neck, dragging down their upward mobility, their ability to purchase property and land.
Yep.
I feel like it's a freaking Greek tragedy, but I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. No one wants to hear what I think about debt. So, uh,
Um,
you want to move on to the next story?
no, sorry, I wanted to touch on one more thing just
Hit it.
regarding the, um, I, related to the fact that they called this like the Fiscal Responsibility Act. First of all, the fact that we have like Democrats celebrating this, and it's it's not a good sign. The fact that they called this a win, because we know that Democrats don't compromise on anything. So essentially, they got everything they wanted. As Chip Roy mentioned, the loopholes, they're essentially going to be able to do whatever they want. There's always a way around the provisions in the bill and the amendments. But also, I think, and this is something that I read about even a couple of years ago, we do have Marxists in office. And I think people need to kind of realize more what that means. But there's a lot of people in Congress right now on the left, the far left extremists, that believe in modern monetary theory. And I'm sure that you've heard of that. I don't think it's a popular, a well-known idea at this point. But essentially, modern monetary theory is basically that you don't have to think about the budget. You think that as long as you are a currency issuer, which the US is, that you should be able to just print money for all the things that you need. And that once the inflation starts going up, to counter that inflation, it's hard to explain. To counter the inflation, you raise the prices of things so the demand goes down. And then when the demand goes down, it forces the prices to go down again. So it's kind of this backwards way of thinking, but essentially there's zero fiscal responsibility in that. These people honestly, truly believe that you should be able to print money, print as much money as you want, whenever you want, for what you need. So there is zero fiscal responsibility. These people never, ever, ever, ever plan on balancing a budget or passing any kind of a reasonable budget or stopping, borrowing money of any kind. This is just, so the fact that they're happy about this, they know that that is just one more thing down the road towards essentially this destruction of the market.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's Keynesian economics there. And the problem with modern economic theory, which someone actually said something in the chat. I was looking for it because I lost it. I don't know if it was Facebook or YouTube. But it was basically about spending your way out of debt, and Americans just buy whatever. Yeah, that stuff doesn't work in reality. The way economics works is you do need to spend less than you make. There does need to be some type of budget. And look, if you're leveraging debt, if you're using a mortgage, or if you're using investment vehicles, that are regular investment vehicles, 401ks, mutual
Mm.
funds, IRAs, those types of things. There's a certain level of risk, but they're kind of guaranteed over a 10-year period for the whole entire history of the stock market. The mutual fund is going to be in the positive over a 10-year period. If you jump off the roller
Mhm.
coaster, then you will secure your losses. But if you stay in, if you treat a long-term investment like a long-term investment, you are going to win, period. The other problem is this idea that we can manipulate the markets, which is exactly, I think you nailed it. That you're talking about market manipulation. Instead, what needs to be done is market driving or market influencing. That's when you bring a good to market, a service, a
Mhm.
product, a good, an idea, whatever, and you're creating new value that wasn't in the world. All of the components of an iPhone, nothing in here is new like on Earth. All of these
Yeah.
materials were around, but the ingenuity, the innovation, the idea generation to create this, Steve Jobs turned nothing into something. And this is a new value. It's not taking people's money and, there's this much piece of the pie. This is a whole new pie. Apple's a whole new pie. It's the first $1 trillion organization in the history of the world. So we need to bake more pies. We need to bake completely new pies and bring new products. There's crap all over my desk, and people made this junk. And it's like, wow, there didn't used to be Bluetooth speakers. You used to have to wire in the speakers. Actually, it used to be the megaphone thing, those brass shells. Then someone made a freaking speaker with a wire, and now there's Bluetooth speakers. I don't even know how this works, but it works, and I paid for it, and you pay
Yeah.
for it too. That's how economics work. That's how influencing economics works. You don't want to manipulate the global system. That's stupid.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
these freaking World Economic Forum idiots, they just want to play God in like the weirdest way, like with
Yeah.
this market stuff. It's
Yeah.
never
Well,
worked.
no, and essentially, I mean, they want the outcome of a valuable product without actually creating a valuable product. So, they essentially want everything that comes from creating, the phone that you have in your hand without actually giving you the phone in your hand. But they want all the money that would come from that. So, they don't want to give us anything of value for the money that they're spending, but they just want to be able to continue to do it. Which essentially, like, if you keep printing money and there's nothing that comes with it, then everything kind of goes downhill. So it's just not good. But essentially, like, the goal is to destroy the free market. So that's what they're going for. So again, fiscal responsibility. It's like, it just blows my mind that they would like it. It's almost like they're kidding. Like, that should be a meme of some kind.
Yeah, like a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
All right, so question for you, because I feel and question for the viewers, go ahead and let us know in the chat, because I've been feeling like a certain kind of way. My favorite watch is a like this leather orient watch, and it's awesome, and it's open face, and it's mechanical movement, but the glass broke, which is super annoying, and now it's like, do I get it fixed, or buy a new one? I'm really attached to this one. Anyway, I've been wearing in strange Joe Mobley land, my backup watch, I guess, is a gold watch, a gold citizen watch, but I feel so weird. Like, I feel like this is like a bougie watch. And I don't feel like a bougie person. But it's on my desk. We're talking about money. I don't know, like, how, like, I've worn it to work for the last few days, and I'm just like, I don't know. I hope no one gets the wrong idea. I do need to wear a watch. I have to wear a watch. I have to wear a mechanical or a digital watch. I can't wear a smartwatch, because where I work, if I wore a smartwatch, I would go to prison. So, but I don't know. Like,
So what's the
am
question?
I weird for feeling weird about the watch? And there's one of you fans I know right now. You were cracking up in your house, and you're probably going to text me about this and say, "Yes, it's bougie." / you're bougie. I'm really not. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think I'm I am so, like, the opposite of anything like accessories of any kind, and I hate calling your watch an accessory, but that's what it is. Like, I don't wear watches or
You
anything
don't
that
wear
is
a
not
watch at all?
flexibility. I don't wear a watch. I don't wear earrings. I don't
Do you
even wear my
check your
wedding
time
ring.
on your phone?
Yeah. Most of the time, I don't even want to know what time it
Okay.
is.
I was going to say, what if
Yeah.
you couldn't bring a phone? Would you wear a
Yeah.
watch?
Yeah. No, I probably would just be fine. I mean, I don't ever want to know what time it is for the
You
most
were
part.
not. People, military service members and veterans, I believe that the military gives you anxiety about time because, like, being late, you can lose rank, you can get demoted, lose pay. Like, being late, people can die because you were late. Not usually, but so
Well,
they just infuse the spirit of chaos about time. So we're all like dialed in on time. I say that we
that
always start the show late, but that's okay. No one
that
dies.
that makes sense to me. And I'm like the polar opposite. Like I am perpetual. I'm late to literally everything, and it does not seem to matter what it is. Maybe I need a watch.
Wow.
Maybe I need a watch.
Wow.
But and most of the time I'm like, people hinge so much on being on time, but ultimately like nothing life ending has ever happened from me being just a couple minutes late or even like 15 minutes late. I'm like, nobody died, so it's fine.
Wow. How I
Yeah,
want to check how the stream is going because Rumble is like super glitchy. Let's see. Oh, I can hear myself. All right, well, YouTube's going fine. Interesting. Rumble,
yeah.
their servers, they need to keep on keeping on. All right,
Yeah.
well, Diamond Dave, your name is really Diamond Dave, not a plant. Diamond Dave says I would wear the gold watch, but I'm Hindu, so that comes from a religious view. I am Christian, so I don't know how Christians feel about gold. I don't know. My wife is
I
more
mean,
precious than rubies. I have a gold wedding band,
I
I guess.
mean, I think there's, something about golden calves and like worshiping.
I was gone for 10 minutes. What are you doing with this? How did you even make this? Like they gather all their gold together. Yeah. That's strong
I'm just,
argument against. That's strong
yeah,
argument against. Yeah. The
that's the
truth
only thing that
is
comes to mind.
I need to get my leather watch fixed and then boom, then I'm it's also pretty expensive, but people feel differently about it. I feel that people feel differently about it. It's just in my head. I should get over it. Yep.
Yeah, I honestly like I work in an office during the day with a bunch of attorneys and there's like 15 of them. I could not tell you who wears a watch and who doesn't. I have absolutely no idea. So I guarantee like no one is paying attention to your watch.
Dave says he doesn't realize he's the only non-Christian. Here's the thing: we believe in diversity of thought, Dave. So your opinions and your presence are more than welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I always think it's interesting when there are gay conservatives, and they follow. I have a ton of gay conservative followers on Twitter. It's very interesting to me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is true diversity, is diversity of thought, diversity of background, diversity of life experiences and perspective. So it's always appreciated.
Bazinga. Yep. Oh, that is not a good picture of MTG. Uh, anyway, sorry.
Why are
Oh
we
man,
talking about MTG?
she just popped up on Twitter.
Uh,
All right, so what's next? Is it Target losing $10 billion or
sure.
I don't know. Yes, boycotts, summer boycotts. Well, hopefully you guys aren't buying from Target, but now here's the thing. Let me state this emphatically just for my own purposes. I'm a Christian male. A lot of guys out here, gals out here are confused. I believe everything, even the parts that I don't necessarily like. I believe everything in this book is true. This is the Bible. Uh,
Mhm.
is God breathed, inspired, and that starts with the very beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created man and woman. Each one He created them. Genesis 1:27. Genesis 9:13, the promise of the rainbow. The rainbow belongs to God and is more so a Christian thing than a pride thing. That's why I have a rainbow shirt that says the promise, Genesis
Mhm.
9:13. And if you get offended by it, I literally don't care. It's my thing is enshrined in the Constitution. Free exercise of my religion, which the Supreme Court says, well, what's the test? It's sincerity of belief. Is this a closely held belief? Yes. So, with all that said, I believe that all of these letters, the L, G, B, the T, the Q, the Q, I, L, M, N, O, P, whatever, I believe that they're sins. Great. I sin all the time, and you guys sin all the time. I don't think that I'm in any habitual sins right now. I'm sure that I will be reminded of that if I am by the people who know and love me. But this is the sin that they're trapped in. James talks about, I think James 4:1-ish talks about how sin ensnares and entangles, but he talks about um, helping to escape the sin that clings so closely. It is hard to defeat the selfish things. There's a book called The Bondage Breaker. It is a tremendous book for anyone who's trying to get out of a habitual sin. Um, but it doesn't just ensnare like, oh shoot, I fell into that. It clings so closely because these are the desires of our own evil hearts. Which reminds me, this isn't James. Is it James? It might be Hebrew. Somewhere New Testament vibes. It's talking about the cycle of sin, where out of man's own evil desire we give birth to sin, and when or sin is conceived and gives birth to no, our own evil desire conceives, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. I'd probably just fuse like three different translations together. Anyway, so all of your letter guys, all of you alphabet people, I believe it's a sin, just like my normal sins, not my normal sins, my habitual sins, just like Samantha's and everyone else's. Um, do you exist? Sure. Well, most of you exist. The other ones are science fiction. Um, can we boycott over do I need to participate in the celebration and the pride, which is the literal sin? Pride in and of itself is a sin. Do I need to participate in that? No, I won't be compelled to. And it doesn't seem super serious to you, but I would literally forget about jobs and bank accounts. I would literally fight you to the death. I'd probably win over that, over our ability to not engage in your sin, which happens to
Mhm.
be perverse sexual proclivities. It doesn't matter to
Yep.
me that that's what it is. If it was alcoholism or human trafficking or whatever, I'm still out. I would be boycotting your business. All of that said, all that said, I'm super excited that people are boycotting Target. What are your
Yep.
thoughts?
Well, I mean, yes, I am a Christian and, I have a lot of the same thoughts about sin and just particular lifestyle choices and whatnot. But to me, the bigger issue, because that used to be kind of the argument, whether or not gay people should be able to get married or have like kind of the same recognition as far as their relationships as traditional marriage. And that I think was kind of the start of the argument. But I think that was essentially kind of it's kind of what lit the flame for them to continue on this path to say that that is still why we are boycotting things like Target and anti Pride Month and whatever else. Like they still insist that it's just about being against LGBTQ people because you can believe something is a sin or that somebody is doing something sinful without believing that they should be run off the planet or that they don't deserve human rights or all of these things because
But we're
you know
not going to give you allowance to target kids, though.
exactly,
That's
so that is the whole thing. It's like
that's like yikes.
we're this isn't about me supporting your lifestyle. It's about the
Yeah.
fact that you took it from this place where we were really just talking about who gets to get married and who has that legal right. And now, like, they're still riding that argument, even though that they know that that's not what it's about. And they're using that to say we still have a right to put all of this pride stuff in the store, even though now it's got like pronoun onesies for babies and toddler outfits with pride stuff all over it. It's like, if this were just about you wanting to marry whoever it is that you want to marry, why do you need to see a baby in a pronoun onesie? So it's not the same argument anymore. It's not the same point. It's not about whether or not I believe what you're doing is a sin. It's the fact that you've blown it up beyond this thing of who gets to get married. And now you're trying to normalize, talking about a toddler's sexuality or a baby's preferred pronouns or, whatever kind of relationship, or whether or not teachers should be able to have sexual conversations with children in the classroom, or if we should have porn books in schools. Like, it's blown up into this huge thing where it's like, yeah, we're to the point where we recognize that that is not what you are just about anymore, and that the path that we started on has led to this massively slippery slope where we're literally talking about minor attracted persons. So
So I wanna add to, because I froze it on this on purpose, but let's see. Can I get this in here? All right. So uh if you haven't heard of, I don't believe like the QAnon people that like, oh, if you say the goat, like who's the goat, that you're worshiping Satan. No, I think goat means greatest of all time. But there is this issue of Baphomet, which
mhm,
is, you know, basically anyone who's into Satanism, worshiping Satan, and like weird Knights of the Templar, kind of like the
yeah,
conspiracies just run amok. But just getting past all that, where did it go? It's gone. Well, yeah, but this guy, you've seen this guy
yeah,
before, like crazy looking goat, snake, and why would you put boobs on the goat? There's just a lot of weirdness there. But there are a lot of Christians that are confused, and if we could just kick some people in the balls, I prefer to kick Christians. Kind of like I can make fun of my brothers and sisters, but you can't. Like,
mhm,
otherwise we fight to the death, kind of thing. What about this, guys? Isn't this interesting?
yeah,
Satan respects pronouns pins for kids with both of them on it, with the weird
mhm,
little gender confused thing on it. Now, look, because there people keep telling me you're no one's this isn't about your closely held beliefs. This isn't about uh, creating an environment that promotes the persecution of Christians. This is about them. It's not about you. But bro, like
yeah,
how did your preference for who you want to date, marry, whatever, how did that get intertwined with Satan and Baphomet and Satan respecting pronouns? Like, can someone shoot the gap for me? I think that I'm decently intelligent, but I don't understand.
yeah. No, I I completely agree. And that's, kind of what I was just saying with this slippery slope. It's like you guys started out in this one place, and somehow we've got like pins being sold to children with satanic demons on them, and we're just supposed to say live and let live. Like, this is supposed to be okay. I mean, it it matters what we put out in society. And I said this the other day, like, it seems that the more we learn, that gender ideology is literally put into everything in society. It's gone so far from just like LGBTQ community to like gender ideology. The more that it's put out there, the more that we hear about Satan worship and Satanists. And I'm like, is that a coincidence? Or, and I realize that, these are like the activist group, this is like the extreme group, because there's a lot of LGBTQ people that are also speaking out against this. So I'm not saying that, this Satanist belief system is that it coincides with, it's synonymous with being like a gay or lesbian or anything like that. But it just seems like the more, as I said, the more we get into gender ideology and putting pronouns on baby onesies and just assuming that a toddler knows whether or not they're gay or straight, the more that we see with Satan worship. and satanic symbols. I mean, there was the thing with Balenciaga just a couple of months ago, and we had kids in bondage gear with like satanic messages throughout the
You
the, the
you didn't
campaign.
like Whips and Chains
You know,
teddy bear, Fellatio Barbie?
you know, call me crazy, but that's just kind of my line in the sand. I just,
I just want to know how, like, my 1 year old is like learning how to talk, which is something that only humans do because we're a different type of thing, as Aristotle noted. Not just some random animal who came out of soup and like, oh, surprise, we have these crazy brains and stuff. But he can like barely talk, but I'm supposed to
yeah,
be like, hey, little dude, tell me about, like, I respect your opinions. Tell me about your sexuality so we can,
right. And that would
like,
be weird. That would be weird if you're like, hey guys, guess what I just talked to my 1-year-old about? Like, I'd be like, what?
that would be so weird. Ugh,
I mean,
gosh.
no,
And then we
no.
get yelled at for shielding our kids from it or from saying, hey, I get to decide what's appropriate. One, it's my house and they're my kids. So I get to decide what's appropriate. And you guys are constantly kicking down the door like we get to decide what's appropriate. And I mean they super hate us. We homeschool, we're Christians. My
Mhm.
wife is the mother of all of my children.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
ran my intersectionality score and I came up like a -2. Even though I'm black and I'm from the hood, my parents were never married, and no one in my family went to college, and all, which is kind of changing. People are going to college now. It's interesting. But I ran my thing. I was like +6 victim
Yeah.
points, but I think I was +8 or 9 oppression or oppressor points or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm basically like a straight white dude, unmarried. I think that's where I landed.
Well, and I mean, at least you can do that. The only thing that I can do is apologize for my whiteness. Like, that's all I got going for me. I mean, as far as
I'm
intersectionality and victim, I mean, I'm a woman,
I'm
but
so glad that you did. I've been waiting. I mean, it's been a
I,
lot of shows, and I'm so glad that you finally.
yeah,
Now I feel like it's a safe place for me to be who I truly
as you
am.
should, as you should.
Wow. So
Well, I
what do you
mean,
think about the staying power? Do you I think Bud Light's done. But Ted
oh my
Cruz
gosh.
disagrees. Ted Cruz thinks that Bud Light will probably recover, but more so Target. He just thinks it's too big to fail. People are going to shop at Target in the future.
I can see why he's saying that, and it's hard to see this having the staying power that Bud Light has. And I think in that same article, or maybe it's another one I was reading, I don't know, he was talking about different boycotts that we've tried in the past, whether it was the NFL or, I can't even think of any others right now. But um, I
Amusement
think,
parks, yeah.
yeah, well, and the thing, I mean, I think the fact that, Disney still has had, taken a big hit to their business. I mean, they've had to fire a bunch of employees, they've had to close a few things down. And I think it's one of those things that it's going to be a slow decline. Like, it's not going to be hit in the same way that Bud Light is. I think that I think the difference with this one is the fact that people are waking up to the fact that this is not just about not wanting to purchase a shirt with a rainbow on it for my toddler, or not having, pride shoved in my face every time I walk in the store. They do truly realize that this is about an ideology that is so incredibly damaging, to our children, to families, and that the basis for it is literally to destroy the family, to destroy objective truth, to change the way that we think about words and language, and essentially drive us towards authoritarianism, which is, this whole agenda. But I think the more that people are seeing what this is really about, people are more motivated to stay away from it. But the key is to try and find alternatives, which is can be difficult, especially to someplace like Target.
I think that we can boycott permanently. not an insignificant amount of people, but if 10, 12, 15% of people cut the cord and never come back, that's substantial. That's really
Mhm.
substantial, especially considering in business, um, one of the most powerful relationships with an existing customer. The cost of acquisition is already complete, and you buy almost 90% of the things that you buy it's recidivism, it's repeat
Yep.
patronage. So if you cut out Target for a time and you start shopping somewhere else, somewhere that maybe you didn't even shop before. We shop at places that we did not shop before we cut Target. One of those places, and there's a good argument that they're just as bad, but we buy stuff from Walmart now that we've never really bought from Walmart. It is kind of weird. We were people of Walmart in high school and college, but we haven't really been people of Walmart for a long time. And let me tell you, even in Loudoun County, as bougie as it is out here, there are some people of Walmart. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I carry a gun when I go in there. Um, Goodness gracious, that place is
Well,
wild.
and Walmart has its own issues, and so I
Yeah.
understand that. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I hope that it has the staying power. I mean, I don't plan on shopping there anytime soon. I know that there's a lot of people that have just completely boycotted Target, and they've been doing it for years, and they've just found other alternatives. So obviously it is doable. It's
The
just,
big problem is the government. The government is propping up dying companies. The government will say, like it said with Ford and Chrysler, we can't let these institutions fail. So the government will, if the market doesn't respond, then let the company die. But I fully believe that the government will say, hey guys, our buddies Disney, our buddies Target are in trouble, and we have to pull the little puppet master strings and make things better for them. And it's a bunch of bull crap.
well, and I have a question about that as well, because I don't know if you saw that Bud Light donated like $200,000 to an LGBTQ organization in honor of Pride Month, which is a really interesting move considering they're plummeting and they have no hope of ever going back. So I'm like, what was that inspired by? Because I kind of think that they did that to appease, government higher ups and saying, hey, since we can't get our customer base back, if we pledge our loyalty to you, will you bail us out of this situation? So, I don't know, but to me, that's the only thing that makes sense as to why they would do that when their company like has no hope at this point of recovering.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe it's just double barrel middle fingers. Maybe they're just like, we don't care about you guys at all. We'll do what we want.
Well,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
It's
I'm
really,
afraid to Google it, so I was seeing if
yeah.
I
And
could
I
find
think
it on Twitter.
I think people also need to realize, like, what is the alternative? We can continue to go buy our home decor from Target and go buy, whatever from Kohl's, because Kohl's also had a Pride display there. Chick-fil-A is the latest to have this uproar because they had
Oh,
DEI on their website. You know,
did you
it's
see
like,
Chick-fil-A's statement? Don't even get me started. Oh
oh,
my gosh. You didn't see the
didn't
Chick-fil-A thing? Oh,
know.
I gotta look it up. I gotta
I
get
can
it.
only follow so many boycotts at a time.
It's hard. It's hard. Let's see. What is this Canadian non-residential? If I type CFA into the internet, I better see Chick-fil-A, dang it, not some bullcrap Canadian finance thing. How dare you, Canada? Oh my gosh.
Right?
Chick-fil-A. All right, I'm triggered. I can't believe you haven't their equity thing. This is something, it just blows my mind. Is this it? Diversity, equity, and inclusive agenda. Oh, where's the comment? Show me the comment. I want to see it. Okay, I've read this with my own. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I'm not finding it right now, so I'll try and paraphrase it. But Chick-fil-A basically put out a statement. Oh, Chick-fil-A facing backlash. All right, Epic Times, you never let me down. About their diversity, equity, and inclusion effort. Where's the statement? Oh, come on, show the same issues. All right, there's a place where monolithic insurance. they put out a statement that said that their top priority has been and will remain diversity, equity, and inclusion, and like until all people feel safe and respect, blah 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 blah. And it drives me crazy because guys, there are one of two big lies. All of the companies out there tell one of two lies. They say diversity, equity, inclusion is our number one priority, or they say our customer safety. Your safety
Mm.
is our number one priority. We just want to make sure that nothing ever happens to you. Bless your little heart. No, their safety is not your number one priority. Otherwise, they would buy a bunch of guns and they would employ a bunch of former Navy SEALs, and it'd be like, if you tried to attack our customers, we will pound you into the ground. Their safety is our number one priority. No, profit is the number one priority of a company. A company exists to sell a thing, a product, a service, to provide some kind of amenity to you that makes your life better, and you see that value in that thing, and you give them money and they give you that thing. That's a company's number one priority. If it's not a viable business. You can't run a business unless it's a security company or a safety company or something like medical, and say that medical or safety or diversity, unless it's a diversity business, unless your business is, we sell diversity and inclusion and inequality, and equity. I mean, like Ibram X. Kendi could actually say this. Diversity, equity, and
Hmm.
inclusion is my number one priority, because he's a consultant that sells this educational crap as a thing. But Chick-fil-A, you sell sandwiches, chicken sandwiches, the Lord's chicken. That's your number one priority, not
Yeah, no,
DEI.
I completely agree. Well, and also, with all of these companies that are, we have to start including DEI in our policies and training and whatnot. I need to see the examples of all of the violence and the discrimination that was happening before you implemented DEI that led you to believe that this was necessary, because I'm going to bet that nobody felt threatened, that nobody felt discriminated against, that nobody felt like they weren't being treated fairly. And I mean, there are cases of employees obviously not being treated fairly, because sometimes you have a crappy boss, or sometimes you just, there's a conflict, that's a normal thing. But it's like, where are we seeing this widespread discrimination and lack of inclusivity in all of these businesses that are like, now we've just been driven to include DEI because we're having such a problem here. Like,
Ooh,
that's
or
not a thing that's
social
happening.
justice. Social justice. That's one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah, it's like, what was this an issue beforehand? Like, usually
That's a good point.
you make decisions for your business sometimes based on issues that you've had in the past. You don't just throw things out there unless there's a problem to solve a lot of times. So it doesn't make sense.
Have you heard me go on my rant about the impossibility of equity or whatever in the workforce?
No.
It's been a little while. What they're trying to do is impossible. Just like Hollywood is like making all the cast of everything black. In reality, black people, we are the minority. Words have meanings. Minority means not the dominant group, not the majority. So if we're 13% of the population, 12.6, 13.1, whatever, then that means out of 100 Americans, 13 on average are black. So if a show has 10 cast members, about 2.5 to 3.2 of them should be black. Not 8 of them,
Hmm.
not 9 of them. That's not representative. That's representative of Africa. Here, 3 in 10 are black. Well, 3 in 10, that's 30%. Goodness gracious. One and a half, 2 out of 10 is black. So I've said on the show a bunch, so I'll just say them by name. I used to work at Accenture. Accenture is a mega company. It's one of the largest consultancies in the world, and they've created all kinds of stuff that you guys don't even know, like the debit card. Accenture Consulting actually created the electronic banking card for Bank of America in the 70s. But anyway, I digress. The company was like 580,000 people. Well, unlike the economy is not zero sum, and we pretend that it is. People are zero sum Boomers, we got what we got. You cannot create another boomer. You cannot create another millennial. We got what we got. Well, if this number of the workforce, the labor force participation rate, and if this number of eligible Americans to work are working, this percentage is black. Let's say it's 13%. It's an actual zero sum thing. So if Accenture, as a mega company, brings in 20% black leadership, but there's only 13% of black people available, then another company can't do 20% because there's only a fixed number. You'd have to import. You'd have to get your boat and go over to Africa and involuntarily bring. It's not a good history. It's not a good look. So we can't do it. The other question is, if you get the equity dream. So I work at your company, Outspoken Samantha's, and you got the equity dream. We'll say there's only 4 races. It'll be race A, B, C, and D, and I'm race B, B for black. And you have 50% men, 50% women. Let's pretend in this crazy world there's only 2 genders. You have 50% men, 50% women, and you have 25% of each race. And I resign or I retire. You have to put out a job announcement that is only for a straight black Christian male. Or you could just say a black man. That's illegal. That's absolutely illegal. But you can only hire a black man because of the equity thing.
Yep.
And you can't, maybe one company in the world can get completely equal. And because it's zero sum, no other company could. If just one large company made it completely equal, they would have actually taken too many of the minorities, so that there be none for anyone else because they're minorities. That means there's not a lot of them. It just blows my mind. I raised this question at a meeting, and I'm not allowed to say, I'm officially not allowed to say how that meeting went. But
yeah,
it's
the math doesn't
interesting.
math.
Yeah, like, hey, what if we win? What if we achieve this thing that we're going after and I quit? Who do we hire then? Can't hire Samantha. But we can't deny Samantha because she's a woman or white, because that's against the Civil Rights Act. And it's like, oh no, maybe. And I was like, hey, I'm on your team. Let's say we achieve this. What happens when I leave? Like, you're screwed. Oh man.
Well, and I can't remember who it was because somebody else was talking about this. I think probably yesterday. But we've had this obsession. Companies have had this obsession with creating like these boards for literally every single thing, to kind of influence how the business is run and whatnot. And but they have to have input from every single subset of society. You have to have a black voice, a queer voice, a woman voice, and because of how things are ratioed,
They're
because
all liberal. They all have all the same beliefs, but they have to look different.
exactly, exactly. Everybody has to think the same, but we need to, have this illusion of diversity that
Yeah.
everybody looks different. But it's not ratioed to the point where you could actually make that happen because, Black people only make up 13% of the population, or even transgender people only make up still like 0.1% of the population.
Yeah.
So it's like if you had all of these boards for all these companies and they were ratioed accurately, you'd have to have like the transgender person at a board in the morning and then run over to another board meeting in the middle of the day and another board
Yep.
meeting at the end of the day, because it's just not going to happen. And so people like to say that these boards and companies or whatever it is, they don't have diversity because people don't want to hire minority groups. And it's like, no, because there aren't enough people.
It's a hard reality. Like, math is real. These are the
Yeah, it's
people
like,
that think 2 plus 2 equals 5. This is why they're having this problem.
yeah,
There's not
yeah,
enough of us.
it's impossible to have an equal ratio in your business or on your board meeting of every single kind of person, because we're just not, it's impossible. So there's just not enough people in all of the minority groups, as you were saying.
Well, we added the we added the Chick-fil-A. Did you want to dive into
Yeah, I think is important. We can make fun of Justin Trudeau next week because there's always plenty of ways to do that. But
Yeah.
this, I think, is important. Uh, if you guys haven't seen, so the Toronto Blue Jays, this is Anthony Bass. Apparently, his crime was that he retweeted something in favor of the Target boycotts. And because of that, he was
Bad.
forced to apologize for what he did. And it's not just any apology. I think that we really need to listen to what his apology sound. And this was just because he retweeted in favor of the boycotts. I cannot emphasize that enough because the apology for this is insane. Can we turn it up?
Is the audio even coming through? I don't hear it.
I don't think so.
Uh-oh. What's going on, system audio? Weird. Let's see if some other audio works. Timcast, we'll play a second of you.
I was trying to see if there was like a. It's not working?
Oh, I have the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. I've had
Okay.
the wrong audio selected this whole time. I'm glad you all could hear me. Oh, and my mic's been pinking. Very good. All right, here we go.
I recognized yesterday I made a post that was hurtful to the Pride community, which includes friends of mine and close family members of mine, and I am truly sorry for that. I just spoke with my teammates and shared with them my actions yesterday. I apologized with them, and as of right now, I'm using the Blue Jays resources to better educate myself, to make better decisions moving forward. The ballpark is for everybody. We include all fans at the ballpark, and we want to welcome everybody. That's all I have to say. Thank you. I recognized yesterday.
Yikes. What? Oh, yikes.
So you guys let me know what stood out to you about that. But, he's saying the ball field is for everybody, except if you
big
don't
moment
want to
tomorrow.
celebrate
America's
Pride
retail.
Sorry.
except if you don't want to celebrate Pride Month, except that if you don't think that your children should be wearing a pronoun onesie, except if you are a Christian, conservative that has, that you question what it is that the Pride Month is really about, or question the LGBT, whatever it is. You have these questions, then that ball field is not for you. Second of
The
all,
ball
he's like,
field is for all authorized opinion holders.
exactly. Like, you could, as long as you are tweeting what, approved tweets, then you can come to the baseball game. Which is absolutely insane. And, the fact that this is in Canada, when we were about to talk about Justin Trudeau, like, they are definitely a lot more authoritarian than here in the US. So I have to wonder if it had anything to do with that.
They've got
But
your
he's like,
wife and kids.
huh?
So they've got your wife and kids, like, gun to their head.
Off to the side, they're like, apology. And we laugh at that, but that's the kind of thing that happens in places like China and North Korea and all these places where you're not allowed to have a different opinion. So it's scary. But he's like, I'm using the Blue Jays resources to
Yes.
like re-educate myself
Yes.
and
Cringe.
to better educate myself. Like, what?
We don't. I don't know if the viewers know this. Sam and I aren't in constant communication about what we're going to talk about because it's news, it's topical. Sometimes we'll decide like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But like we knew what stories we were covering, but we haven't talked about it. Like, I think this, I think that exactly what you're saying is exactly what I felt when I read this. Like,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
went first, I would have said exactly what you said. It's
Yeah.
like re-education. He's like, oh, I'm so
Yeah.
scared. I'm re-educating and I'm learning from the official position of Blue Jays and MLB, and I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Like, it's
Right.
super cringe.
Exactly. And I mean, we know what kind of countries that that kind of thing happens in with re-education. It's like that is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. And I think, I do have to ask if it might have something to do with the fact that this was in Canada, but then on the other side of it, there was this whole issue with the Dodgers and hosting this Pride night. I don't know. I think I sent you the link. If I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this by now, where the Dodgers hosted this Pride night and they invited this drag queen group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And I don't know if you can click on the link. I don't know if you guys want to watch this video. It is so incredibly offensive.
I lost it. Oh, there it is. Oh. I mean, we can watch it if you want. This guy?
Maybe just
Yeah.
like a few seconds of it so you guys can see what it is. But these are drag queens. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, look at this like nun thing over here. Like, can I zoom
Yeah.
in on this? I can't. It's a video. But like over oh, my mouse isn't showing. Basically just to the left of weird trans Jesus, there's like a demon nun. Anyway, the whole thing
Yeah.
is no bueno.
Yeah. And the Sisters of Perpetual, apparently this group has been around forever, for like decades. But it's shocking to me that they would go, like, I mean, the drag queen shows have been bad enough as it is, but the fact that they intentionally invited this group that literally like makes a mockery of Christianity and like some of the most important symbolism and the most important figure in Christianity, that's not accidental. And in response to this, of course, a lot of people were like, boycott the Dodgers, which 100% do it. But there were a couple of baseball players that came out and said, this is not okay. One of them was named Blake Treenan, and the other one was Trevor Williams. Let's see. I thought I had the statement up here, but
Sorry, guys. I just saw the comments about the volume. I have turned Samantha up. And it's funny, I turned myself down earlier because I'm like, oh, that thing's turning red. I actually, funny enough, I was looking at the comments, but I wasn't looking at all of the stuff to control the show. And I forgot, oh, I should actually be looking at that. So hopefully, hopefully she's loud and clear.
Well,
Mama Outspoken's here.
Part of the statement from Blake Treenan, he said, I understand that playing baseball is a privilege and not a right. My conviction in Jesus Christ will always come first. Since I have been with the Dodgers, they have been at the forefront of supporting a wide variety of groups. However, inviting the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to perform disenfranchises a large community and promotes hate of Christians and people of faith, which is 100% true. So I have a question. Did they the people that hired this group, did they have to participate in re-education? Like, did they have to sit down with the teammates of the Dodgers and understand how this might have been offensive and hurtful to the Christian community? Because guaranteed that's not something that happened. And that this is just absolutely wild to me. Yeah, and one of the other things, they were talking about how to invite and honor a group that makes a blatant and deeply offensive mockery of my religion. I think this is from Trevor Williams. He says, and the religion of over 4 million people in Los Angeles County alone undermines the values of respect and inclusivity that should be upheld by any organization. So, he comes out and calls them out for, is this your version of inclusivity? Is that what that means? You literally just offended millions of people in this county alone by doing this. So it just goes to show that when they say inclusivity, they don't actually mean inclusivity.
I didn't see this before you put it in the show planner, and I was floored. I didn't
Yeah.
see trans Jesus thing. I didn't see the statement. Oh no. I did see his apology, but I didn't see like any of the other stuff that you put in. And just looking at it, I was like, well, I was where was I? I wasn't at home. I was somewhere, but I was just like, what the crap is going on? This is
Right.
very re-education-y. Mao's read like Cultural Revolution. Is Canada gonna be like, we'll revoke your citizenship and exile you to our crap snow gulags up north or whatever? Uh,
Right.
I just, yeah, or maybe he'll mysteriously disappear or some nonsense. Oh,
Right.
goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Well, and I mean, like I said, we're seeing more representation and more symbolism of Satan worship. They've now, like I said, a few years ago, they wanted to just celebrate pride. They wanted to just celebrate, love who you want to love. And now they're like, we are openly mocking and attacking Christianity. And if you don't support it and celebrate it with us, then you're the problem. Then you're the bigot.
Mama Outspoken asked, was there any reaction from the crowd? I do not know. I did not watch the whole thing. But I mean, I guess I could take a look. Uh,
I've only seen that one clip of it. I didn't see any notable reaction from the crowd. I mean, I can only imagine, if my family had been there, not that I want to start attacking people, but there would have been probably a notable reaction. It's, you know, it blows my mind. And I was listening to, if you guys follow James Lindsay, he talks a lot about um, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Marxism, and all of these things. And, he was issuing some kind of warning to say that this really is an attack on Christianity. This is an attack on dismantling the churches. But what they're also trying to do is to provoke a response from us so they can justify, retaliation against um, Christians in America. So, there's a lot to that.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and that's why I say, this isn't about just like rainbows and relationships. There are so much to this, and they're just pushing it further and further. In one of my videos about Target, I was like, what's next year's collection gonna have? Are they gonna have like a t-shirt that represents like an inappropriate relationship between an adult and a child? Are they gonna have like pronoun onesies, that label people that, a grown adult man that's 40 years old that identifies as a 6-year-old girl? Like, you know, they have no
Take
limits
this
and no
quiz
boundaries.
to identify what kind of map are you. And they'll have like
Exactly.
little kids be like, this is your adult, match or whatever.
Yeah. And that's just it. It's like it sounds insane, but all of this stuff sounded insane just a couple of years ago. So it just blows my mind.
I will say, yes, you will receive a reaction from Joe Mobley. Uh, it will probably be my fist reacting to your face if I'm there. If I'm there for that, we're not in Afghanistan where they have Little Boy Tuesdays, and all you veterans out there know exactly what I'm talking about. But no, that's not how we roll here in the United States. There is no appropriate romance between adults and children, period.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope. 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 But that's
You,
something they're trying to normalize, and that's all part of queer theory as well. If you guys want to look into queer theory,
yeah.
you know,
Oh, oh, it's so sad. Oh,
yeah,
goodness gracious. Everywhere
I
you
know.
turn, they're. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Diamond Dave asked if we would have people from the chat on the show. Um, I said that's interesting. We'll talk about it and consider it. There it is. There's the comment. Um, but I did say I dropped in the chat if you're interested in appearing on the show, maybe for a panel or maybe to come up here and chat with us about a story or something. Send an email to at thejoemobleyshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can send a direct message on whatever social media profile. I may or may not see it. Like the last 4 or 5 days, my social media interaction has been trash because I've been swamped with work. Uh, sorry, but if you send me an email, I am one of those obsessive people that tries to clear my inbox every day because I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just a psycho.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. It drives me
Yeah.
crazy to have unread email in my email inbox, but
Do you
yeah, there's a lot
delete
through this.
do you delete a
Huh?
lot of your emails or do you just need them to be unread?
It depends on what it is. I probably delete about half of them.
Nice. It feels
Yeah,
so good.
yeah, it does to have that all cleaned up. But I mean, the important thing, guys, is to really just understand what this stuff is. And I don't want people to feel like, there's no hope or there's, that we're being so inundated and bombarded with this stuff that there's nothing that we can do. I mean, I believe in God. I am a Christian, but whether or not that's your belief or not, like God is in control. We've got to keep just living the best lives that we can and, living creating the best home environments that we can, because that's going to be the best thing for our kids and our community and for the people around us. So, I don't think people realize how important that is, but also the more you know about what's really going on, the more that you are equipped to deal with it and to face it and to fight it in whatever way that you can. So I just don't want people to feel like there's nothing we can do and this is all just doom and gloom.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, whether or not you believe in God, a God, whatever, this is true. You're not in control. You, whoever
Yeah.
you are not in control. You cannot add a moment to your life. You didn't decide when you were born. If you plant 5 apple seeds outside, you can't decide which one of them will bloom, if any of them will bloom. You're not in control of anything, and that's really this is one of the biblical truths that I think was just like the biggest aha for me when I realized it. But basically, all anger is because we're not in control. I'm upset because I want it this way, and it is this way, so I am angry, and that's like a matrix moment. You're not in control of pretty much anything. Your attitude and in some ways your actions. That's it. Uh yeah, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
I think that's probably going to be it for tonight. Hi,
It's that
Randall.
time.
I was just reading the comments. Hi, Randall, and hi, Diamond Dave. Thanks for participating.
Yeah, it's been fun. Guys, do all the things, like, share, subscribe. Definitely when you share it, it's the best because the algorithms have no control over that. You're just like, oh hey, take a look at this. They hate it. Oh, it's so glorious. I That's my favorite thing that people do.
Mhm.
And anyway, yeah. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. The links are below. That is all that we got for you, lovely people. Do you have anything before the outro?
Nope. Like, share, subscribe. Go to Rumble. Go to YouTube if you have to. Go to Twitter. Yeah.
I'm excited for
Like and
Twitter to
follow.
grow. Boom.